this not why you were here?
What makes a good story is a good yarn. Frequently you can get mired and get stuck in your own sludge with getting too intellectual. I think if you can tell the story, what this film is about, in more or less 30 seconds or a minute, less than a minute, then you've probably got something, because everything else after that is enlargement. This film is about boom.
Kleptomania has evolved into the elevator pitch, an examination of the commodification of education and the possibility of creative succubi in what should
didn't push us, who would push us?
Manipulated archive, stop and still imagery alongside observed footage of the open film class and dramatized segments. So the film Quantum Kleptomania is an idea of a film that came to mind in
the beautiful thing about
Greg's workshop in the creative thinking
I had a dream of
space.
being a ballerina.
However, my actual documentary is about the workshop, and the idea is a film that won't be seen in this documentary, but it has evolved from this documentary. Okay, so let's do a complete rehash of the edit.
Well, we were sitting around the other night, and in talking, a few of us, we realized that here is an open-ended film with no plot that we can see, with no end that we can see, an action that we can't follow. We're all intelligent people. The obvious thing is to fill in the blanks, to create for each of our own selves a film that we understand. And if we try to think about the reasoning of the director for allowing us the opportunity to do this, giving us the circumstances that enable us to be able to sit here, we can only conclude, at least we did last night, that he wanted it like this.
So in terms of, just to summarise how you would go about that, let's say the beginnings of what the treatment would be in terms of how, it's mixed observational and talking head footage. Yeah, so she talked about, so that's not a lot of words, and I know that may seem like I've thrown loads of stuff out, but we're trying to boil everything down into the essential ideas. So next was Christina. Again, this moves on from the lift and closer to the doors of Dios because of the nature of the idea. Examining portals as both a physical representation of social division, using the Deptford underpass to represent a pathway between the gentrified and sterile and the ungentrified and authentic, unique, and as an existential concept fed by sci-fi and the media. Yeah? Did we feel that was... Yeah. I mean, this is just my observation of the ideas. You guys are going to take these, but I'll send these on and you correct them. Just create your own. This brings me to Quantum Kleptomania, which, again, what you did in terms of the treatment that you handed me, because that looked like an accomplished sort of ad treatment. Do you know what I mean? It was visually led because it's going to be a visually led piece. So, for something, as I was saying to you outside, your stuff for me works on sort of many levels intellectually. The fact that you're filming right now has thrown me a little bit, but that's fine. We'll keep going. It's not my first rodeo, David. Because it works on so many different levels intellectually, trying to get an elevator pitch. What I don't want to do is force you into making an elevator pitch and thus underselling the idea and the concept itself. But your concept as a piece, you could make a feature. I mean, what I've put here, and it doesn't even scratch the surface, but it's as close to an elevator pitch I could get with it, was an examination of the commoditisation of education and the possibility of creative succubi in what should be facilitatory positions. Mixed media using manipulated archive, stock and still imagery, alongside observed footage of the open film class and dramatised segments.
Yeah, but as you said earlier, I think it would be really helpful for me, or challenging to, by applying the thing of trimming it right down to, trying to do a succinct elevated pitch with it. Even though it may not get down to that level, I think it will become better and get rid of some of the superfluous bits that I tend to add in.
The superfluous and the multi-layered element of your work that I've seen up to this point, I think is fantastic. And the fact that it goes off on tangents, I would hate to be in a position to say, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. It's like, because that's a complete nonsense. You've already made something which I thought was really accomplished. Okay, there's not necessarily huge production value running all the way through it, but you circumnavigate that by having proper intellectual content at the core of it. So it's almost like you get it's like the Blair Witch Project. The Blair Witch Project hasn't got the best, this, that and the other, but the idea is so good and it's so scary.
Did they do it on a handheld?
You don't care. Yeah.
Good.
They spent an awful lot of money making it look cheap. But it gets there because of the central idea. Do you know what I mean? And your stuff gets there completely because of the central idea. So I think it's a great exercise to always look at your work as just enough essential parts, whatever the work is, whatever you're doing at any given, what's the essence of it? What do I need to achieve? How do I go about achieving it? So turning it into an elevated pitch, I think, is a brilliant exercise. But once you've turned it into the elevated pitch, don't by any means stop what you already do as a filmmaker in terms of going off on those tangents and giving yourself that freedom at any point to find new and different narrative strands within it. Because we're going to try and make this a 3 to 6 minute piece. Possibly re-examine the ambition of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Almost as if you were treating this as a precursor or like a sizzle reel for your next larger project. Because our intention would be, when we've gotten all of these films done, is to have a platform on which they live so that they become an advertisement both for your skills and for the course itself. And not that I want them to be uniform, of course we don't want them to be uniform, you're individual people, they're going to be individual pieces of work in their own right. But on the same ticket, we want people to be able to go, watch them. People consume shorter, more succinct things more easily. Now, all of these ideas could be extended into larger pieces, and I think some of them will. I think you're going to have, for all your ideas, you're going to have a tough time editing them down into 6 minutes if you get all of the component parts. And apparently you've already got those component parts, which we're going to come to in a minute. But I think if we try and get this 3 to 6 minute limit, so we've got something that lives on there, again, I think it's a good exercise in its own right. Yeah? Betty, we've been going through, you're going to write all of these things yourselves, but just to get us started, from everyone's notes last week, I've written down what I felt was the elevator pitch of each piece. So elevator pitch as a definition, a short description of an idea that explains a concept in a way such that any listener can understand it in a short period of time. the background of it is that you're in an elevator with
Something like that, you know, I can have Jack Nicholson in the elevator with Robert De Niro, and I've got the elevator operator that I really wasn't paying attention to, and so I just cast anybody. That day will be about how bad the elevator operator was, and with Jack Nicholson and Robert De Niro looking at me like I'm a moron, how could I cast this person? It's not about their scene, it's suddenly about him. You've got to pay attention.
So I've got to say,
everywhere.
how much
You'll regret if you don't.
However, I did find a challenge, which was cutting the interview.
Ask questions, because I can't just talk in 5 minutes about everything you've just asked me to
About
say.
the commodification of education.
The commodification of education. So, if we look at pedagogy of the oppressed.
You need to stay.
Oh, sorry, but is my head not blocking the thing?
No.
So Paulo Freire wrote Pedagogy of the Oppressed in 1968. He's basically looking at liberatory forms of education versus oppressive forms of education. Guys, do you want to maybe just chat outside because David's trying to film? Sorry. Yeah, what was I saying? So Pedagogy of the Oppressed.
It's alright. It's James. I was going to say I'm going to kick the shit out of him, but James is exempt.
Yeah, to be honest, David, if I'm really honest, what I think you need to do is use your editing
Name's
tool.
Dave.
Take this image, interview me whilst I'm trying to roll up, otherwise I'm going to run out of time. And
Sorry about that. I've worked in graphics, film design for 20-30 years. During lockdown, I kind of stopped doing anything creative, I should say. I got sort of involved with the bottle, drinking too much, feeling sorry for myself. The workshops helped me by giving me some structure on my creative projects, really. Access to computers to work on. Just generally being around an academic working environment has got me inspired to be creative again. I'm enjoying it. Hopefully going to start creating projects again. More? Less? Don't know what to say.
Well, I've found Greg's attitude very encouraging, very positive. I've enjoyed seeing what the others can bring to the table, what they have to say, their viewpoints. I've enjoyed seeing people's documentaries, seeing what they're doing. Makes me think about what I can do. And yeah, I've just enjoyed the
yeah, good. Just had a bit of food. Just finished film class. What are you up to?
yeah, just enjoyed the whole process of learning, something I know not much about, and how I can take that forward into my visual anthropology class when I do it.
Yeah, better for
That would be
going
good.
out, but just
So
yeah,
I found it really positive.
Today seems to be the only day that I consistently go out and just.
Do you know what I mean? You'll use the ambient light, the stuff you got in the day looked great. What you were using compensated for it, so the images themselves look really, really good. Yeah. In the night, you're always going to be battling against lack of light, number one, and in the tooting stuff, you're also battling, you've got your sound issues. When the